Thank you. How many people found the brownie in your lunch? Wow, more. I had to be told about it. It was good though, right? So that's me. I grew up here in Los Angeles in the 1980s, and the Sunset Strip was in its heyday. And my friends and I would go see all the big bands before they got popular, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, you know. And we'd see them in the clubs before they became these global sensations. And we all wanted to be rock stars. It was really the only career option that solved all the problems. Yeah. You get the girl, you have the money, you can travel, and you don't get stuck doing something you hate for the rest of your life. So I was all up for it. And so at 14 years old, my buddies had a little band, and they needed a bass player. So I went to the local music store, I rented a bass guitar, and I learned how to play bass, because I just wanted to be in the band. I didn't particularly love the bass guitar, but it was fine, it'll do. And we started playing our first gigs at 15 years old. I played the Troubadour, and we were too young to get into the club, so we could only go in the back door and go to the stage, and then they'd send us out. You know, like we couldn't even say hello to our family and friends who came. That was really cool. And then a little bit after that is when I actually started songwriting, and I found my way into songwriting, and it was really, I don't know that I would have stayed with music had I not started songwriting. There was something about the creative process, something about creating something inside me, and from the deepest emotional core, and I pour that out, and it's something that you connect to and come back with. It just blew my mind, you know. So I started writing, and we went and found a new singer, and we decided to call ourselves Kik Tracee. That's me on the left, showing you my new nail polish. I just had a manicure. And we started playing the clubs. We started getting some attention, and we got called one night for a cancellation at the Coconut Teaser, a club that's now gone here. And we went and played, and there were a few record companies there that night. A few weeks later, we were showcasing for Clive Davis in New York. And after that, we wound up getting offered a record deal with RCA, and we got signed. So here I am, this kid. I got a record deal. All my dreams are going to come true. Everything is good. And we're managed by Sharon Osbourne. We start meeting these famous producers, Bob Ezrin, this guy who produced Pink Floyd, The Wall, and Alice Cooper, all these things. He comes to our garage in the San Fernando Valley, which is the drummer's mother's house where we were rehearsing. And, we're like Bob Ezrin in rehearsal, and he's talking to us about this album we were going to make, and it was really an amazing time. But what happened was we were very young, and we just didn't know what we were doing. We couldn't get out of our own way. So we made one just bad decision after the next, and it was like the train fell off the track, and we couldn't pull it together. And even though we were on MTV, and we were touring some and everything, we weren't getting along, and there was a lot of conflict, and ultimately we split up. And so after that, I kind of held it together for a little while, and then I met her. And then she left. And when she left, she called me up one day, and she just goes, "I can't do this." And that was it, And that was when the wheels kind of came off for me. I was really, I got very depressed, and I actually considered jumping out the window of my apartment building one day because, the love of my life was gone, and my dream was over, and I just didn't really feel like I had anything. But I decided not to. We didn't live high up enough. Enough said about that, right? So I went back into songwriting, and I decided, I just started writing, and these songs that came out, they were bitter and sarcastic and totally original. Like I had this complete breakthrough creatively. Something about I didn't care. I just didn't care. I didn't care what you thought. I didn't care what anybody thought. It was totally freeing, and it kind of re-purified my creative process, and music was great again, So I started another band called Superfine, and Superfine was really fun. I actually, at one point, I got this idea to start wearing pajamas, because I saw people wearing suits, and I was like, the suit matches, well, cool pajamas match too. So I didn't wear pants for 4 years. It was awesome. And then it was like this big rebellious statement that I made when I started wearing pants again. So we actually got going pretty good. Here's some of my pajamas. I had these custom made. It was great. You know, we actually got some traction. Some record companies started coming out. We got on the TV show and the soundtrack for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Record companies were coming. We signed an independent deal, and things were moving. And then the bass player quit. And then, you know, it just kind of didn't happen. And we couldn't really put it back together, and the thing started to fall apart. And ultimately, it did come apart again. And about that time, I started getting these really strange physical symptoms, and I got sick. And everything I was eating was making me sick. And I went to a bunch of doctors, and nobody could help me. They were like, I don't know what's wrong. You seem fine. I'm like, well, I'm not fine. So I got referred to an alternative doctor, and I went to see her, and I told her what was going on, and she said, I see this all the time, actually, and I call it energetic suicide. Like, what's that? She goes, this is what it kind of is. She says, when you're not living the life that you want, your mind sort of sends the message to the body that I don't want to be here, and it checks out, and the body starts to shut down. And I was kind of trying to wrap my head about it. She goes, it's like your life looks good on paper. And that's what really hit me. I was like, you know what? That's what my life looks like. Everything's in the right place, but it's not doing anything for me. It's not what I wanted to be doing. So she said, unless you make some changes in your life, essentially be killing yourself. So she helped me kind of go through, and I really had to go through my whole life, and I had to start looking at all of my ideas about love, money, success, relationships, my friends. I let go of some friends. I got out of a relationship I was in. And it was very difficult to do. But I started to feel better. You know, my body started to recover. And I went into a new musical direction. I decided the rock music, it was a bit much for me. I was at the wall of sound. I'm going to step out from the wall of sound, and I'm going to make something that's a little bit more intimate, a little bit more honest. And I started to make a new CD. And I got about 80% done with that CD, and I just couldn't get it done. I got stuck. And I felt like things were different, but then I started to question, are things really different? You know, did I make as big of a switch as I thought? Have lunch with a friend of mine one day, and having lunch with a friend of mine one day, and she says, I'm telling her how frustrated I am or whatever, and she goes, close your eyes. What's the first place that comes to mind? Someplace far away. I'm like, seriously? She goes, yeah. All right, fine. Close my eyes. She says, I'm like, France. She goes, you should go to France. Like, what? Come on, seriously? Out of your mind? No way. I gave her a million reasons why I couldn't go. I said, you know, I'm working, I'm finishing this album, whatever. 3 months go by, she calls me back, and she says, how's it going? You know, did you go? No, I didn't go, and everything still sucks. You know, I'm not getting it done. And, you know, and she said, people go to Europe all the time. What's the big deal? Like, you should really just go. And I thought, you know what? She's probably right. You know, maybe they'll do me good. So I booked a ticket, and I went to Paris. And in Paris, I got to the train station. You know, I've never been before. This is my first time. So I got to the train station. I, you know, found my way to little steps at the Saint Michel station in the Latin Quarter. And I walked up to the street. And at the top of the stairs at the street, I had an experience that totally changed my life. And really the best way for me to describe it to you is if I sort of share with you a passage of a book I'm working on. So here's Paris. I'm dumbfounded. I can't even manage to get out of the way of the other commuters. They walk around me, bumping into me like a post. The paintings, the pictures, the movies, all come to life. It's so beautiful, it's almost too much to take in, but there's something else. I feel it deep and low, somewhere in my gut. And I can only get a sense of it, but it's almost like a spinning buzz wheel inside me suddenly stopped. The thing is, I can't remember a time not having that sensation. I didn't even know it was there until it wasn't. An empty space appears inside me that didn't exist 1 second ago. What just happened? I don't even know what to call it. And then a word comes to me. Comfortable. It was totally weird. I was more comfortable immediately in a place I'd never been that was totally foreign, that speaks a different language than any time ever in Los Angeles or anywhere else that I've been. And something just opened up inside me that week, and everything was new, and every sound was fresh. And a couple days into being there, these lyrics pop into my head of this song that It was the last song on my CD. I couldn't figure out, what it was before I left. I was racking my brain, and the words appeared in my mind. From Paris, I found my way to Madrid. And in Madrid, I go to the museum, and I go to the Thyssen Museum in Madrid, and you walk through the museum, and it's 6 floors down, and the last painting you see before you go in the gift shop is called The Express by Robert Rauschenberg. I'm a huge Rauschenberg fan, and it dawns on me that the silkscreen process he was using with the emulsion to get the photography onto the canvas was very similar to a technique I was using with just the demo CDs I was doing at home, a layering technique. And I was like, huh. And then it happened. The idea, when the idea comes, just like the clouds open, and like, oh my God. So I'm hit with this vision of, the hair on my arms is standing on end, and I'm like, oh my God. So it was like a multi-room art installation. It's music and art that I would do that would all be around a common theme, and you walk through, and it's this whole thing, and I'm like totally excited and pumped up. I'm like, yeah, so I walk out of the museum, and I'm not a painter, right? So I got this huge vision for this like massive show, and I've never finished a painting, So I was like, all right. So I got home, and I thought, well, okay. In spite of myself, I gave it a shot. I said, you know what? If they suck, they suck. It's fine. So I decided to do a couple paintings, and I did make a couple of paintings, and it came out pretty good, actually. So I called my friend's sister, who owns a gallery space in Los Angeles here, and I went over there, and I showed her these 2 paintings on my iPhone and told her my big idea. And she said, those are great. We should, totally do your show. So I said, okay. So I left, and I thought, shit again. Now I have to make a show. So I went home, and I spent months. Months. And it was really hard, and I was totally stressed out. Bless my girlfriend's heart for putting up with me. But I put together a show, and it was called Now, and it was an exploration of the artistically and musically the present moment. And it was an amazing, amazing night. More people came than I could believe. It was packed. My family, friends from every avenue of my life, people I didn't know. I sold a bunch of paintings. It was incredible. I played music. I remember standing there playing, and I'm looking out, and not only is the place packed, but they're like in the parking lot. It was just one of those nights where I was, whoa. And from that, I got another show, and my work started to sell, and then my work started to sell some more. And then I got some commissions, and at one point, I realized I'm an artist. Right? Never really occurred to me. So I did this show last year called Trust. And trust was based a lot on this experience I've been talking about trusting myself and trusting the idea. Because for me, it's the idea that leads the way. It's not the other way around. I had an idea for a show, and I worked everything out in order to learn the skills that I needed to do in order to make it happen. I didn't have this mastermind idea I was going to be an artist. It didn't work that way. I just followed the idea. And once I trusted myself and I committed to it, other people just embraced it. It was fine, So I'd love to show you a few pieces from the show. This is called Play Date. This is me versus me, which is sort of the futility and wasted energy, right? Yeah. This is called Trust. And Step Up. And this was based on the story from Paris that I actually read to you and was talking about earlier. Stop, Walk. The determination to go up, in spite of the danger, Unlocked. And this one's called The Plan. This one's been kind of interesting because, okay, so you can read it. Basically, it's been resonating with a lot of people, and the idea here is that I think people see their own life in it, and it's the whole life condensed to one day in a daily planner, and you start by getting born, you die peacefully in your sleep, and basically the rest of the time is spent either working or going to school with all the really good stuff crammed in the middle, like meeting someone, getting married, going on vacation. I do something great, don't know what, on the side Because I want to do something great, I just don't know what, right? So it's really, I've learned this, that like, it's all really about my choices. And life will take its own shape, but there's a cosmic wisdom in that. If I had started out, when I'd started out, I knew that I'd wind up here, I wouldn't have guessed it, It's really been, it wasn't in my realm of reality, is the truth, it just wasn't in my reality. I always felt like something was missing when I was playing music. It was like there was a piece of me that was going unexplored, but I didn't know what it was. And I got frustrated with that. But I know now, if I follow my instinct, that intuition, that little voice that says, try this, or over here, that my life will unfold in some pretty unexpected and beautiful ways. So thank you very much.